Hi there, Jeffrey Rhoades from Experimental Homesteader, Exotic Gardening, and Sheri and Richerson.com. Please subscribe, hit that join button, join our membership, give us comments. We do read the comments, we try to respond, we appreciate comments, so let us know what you think. So last night Sheri talked about that we had gone to the Indiana Homesteading Conference. It was actually quite interesting, quite a bit of fun. Made for a long day, but this was something that we had an opportunity to do. It was something that, I mean, we we uh, we spent the day together, but we weren't together. Um, we were in different classes, but we were there, together. Um, and it actually worked out pretty well, the way we did it, because she was able to take some classes um, that were of interest basically to both of us. I was able to take some classes that were of interest to both of us, but that we couldn't both attend. She was hitting classes I couldn't take because I was interested in some other classes. So we basically, were dividing up, and, she'd sit through a class that we were both interested in, and at the same time, I'm in a class that we were both interested in, but they were at the same time. So we were able to hit both, and get a lot more information of what we were interested in. And uh, so, I started out the day. The first one I went to was the introduction to pasture-raised pigs. We've recently been discussing the idea of getting some pigs for the property. We are primarily thinking about raising pigs for meat. So we're thinking, some pigs that are going to help us to clear the land, take care of some of the weeds and issues, help us to maintain areas, possibly clean up some of the garden areas, that to make it easier for us to plant in the spring. Although we probably won't have the pigs until spring, so it'll be a little late for getting our beds ready. But for the future, we'll potentially have some pigs that we can use to clear areas. We'll be able to rotate the pigs, the chickens, the goats through the areas and do our work for us. So I decided I wanted to go to this class, listen to what was being presented, and of course they were talking about coon pigs. That's the type that they have been focusing on and raising more of, because the meat quality is very high, and the coons produce a larger amount of lard. So I was listening to the information, trying to get an idea of, what we're wanting, what they were raising, the pros and cons. One issue with the coons is that they take longer to raise to butcher weight. On average, they're a year to 2 years to get them up to butcher weight. They are a smaller breed, and they don't grow as fast. So this could be a problem for us because we're wanting something a little faster. But we're considering, the idea of the extra lard, um, in some ways, I think is a great thing. I'm not sure though. I don't know that we really.
Soap making
Well,
and
the
cooking.
cooking, soap making, lotions. The
You
woman.
put lard in lotions?
That's what she was talking about. Was making lard-based lotion. Your body absorbs
Well,
lard
yes.
easier, and she was making lotions, and
I.
was a wonderful product.
That's interesting. I've never done lotions that way, but
Yeah,
okay.
well, that was one of the things that caught my attention on
Yeah.
it. I just hadn't had a chance to talk to you about it. Um, but this was one of the things about the lard was there's lots of products that can be made from the lard.
Yeah, I have a book on lotions, goat milk lotions, and I need to look now because I've always used cocoa butter and beeswax.
Right. Well, and I think part of it is this type of the lard that comes from the Kuni Coons is just a, a a better lard. I don't know. I don't know if that's right, but you know.
Hmm.
So this was an idea that I'm still working on it. We're still contemplating what we want, because I talked to another person at the conference, and he was recommending a different breed of pigs. They're still a little slow, but they're a little faster than a Kuni Coon. So we were talking like 10 to 12 months, um, rather than 6 to 9, which is kind of what we were hoping for. Um, but I was also learning information about um, housing the pigs. There's some really more or less cheap, inexpensive, simple uh, solutions for the for housing them. Um, One of the key aspects is the fact that pigs are a herd animal, so you do have to have more than just one. Um, so you need at least two or to get started with. Similar to goats, you want more than one, because they are a social animal. They want companionship. Um, but the pigs was that was a good start for me, because it was something I was interested in and that we were considering. From there, I went to uh, a class on beekeeping, a great livestock for all sizes of homesteads, because we've also been talking about doing beekeeping. Um, we've been talking about this when, um, basically the whole time I've been here. Um, we had some beehive boxes, um, that got ruined. Um, so,
Sprayed with Roundup.
but anyways, so we'd be starting from scratch on the bees, but there's so many benefits from having bees, um, that we were seriously considering it. So going to this one, I was learning a little bit more, um, some more specifics of you know beekeeping and, the benefits and the the pros and cons, um, because I don't know enough about bees. I wasn't sure how easy they might be, and they actually, they're one of the easier things to deal with, um, because as the woman was pointing out to us, um, you don't have to build fences to keep them in.
You do have to build fences to keep people out.
Well, you don't have to build fences to keep bees in. You don't have to pay a vet bill. You don't have to, um, feed them. You don't have to provide water for them. They're self-sustaining basically. They do a lot of their own work, and you can reap the benefits from them. Now, she did say one of the issues with bees, the bees have a plan, and they don't care about you, and what you might want. They have their plan, so you have to stay ahead of them and ahead of their plan to be able to reap some of the benefits. Which I found it was hilarious. Some of the way she was presenting the information was just wonderful. Um, but that was, getting into the idea of beekeeping, good idea. We may seriously be pursuing that one. And there was some great information along that, places to get bees. Um, there's some new hive technology out there. Um, Basically, there's like plastic hives that you can use um, that are real nice, real simple to use. So that was an idea as well. Oh, excuse me. Then later, I went to comparison gardening methods with focus on regenerative farming. Now, this one, he ran out of time, so we didn't get all the way through everything. Um, in part because he likes to talk to people, but he doesn't. He's not good at presenting. In giving presentations. This is what he was saying about himself. Um, so he actually asked for help with questions and things to make it easier for him to present the information. Um, but he was going over several different um, gardening methods that he has tried, and trying to present us with information as to what he has found works best for him. And he basically presented, it's not necessarily the best for everybody. It's just the best that he has found for the way he operates. But he has a fairly large operation. So there are some methods that won't work for him because his operation is too large. Because I asked him afterwards about hugelkultur, which he has not experimented with, because for his operation his operation is too big to try to do the hugelkultur with. Um, it, it it doesn't fit. Um, but he had heard about it. He thought it was a great method, um, and basically was interested in potential results that we might have from our attempt at it, because we are attempting to do some hugelkultur on the property. We've got a small area that we're attempting to see how it works, and that's a big part of most of this is trial and error. Um, Try something. If it doesn't work, move on to something else. If it does work, keep at it, and make adjustments. Add stuff. If it doesn't work, try something else. And that's a big part of what he was talking about. Is there's certain core methods, but if it doesn't quite work, try something else. Add something to it. If that doesn't work, take it away. Add something else, and just keep trying and experimenting till you find something that works. And the stuff that he presented, the methods that he had tried, gave me some ideas as to what we can be attempting to do, and also gave me some information of what not to do, because he tried and it failed. So I know, okay, this is a bad approach, or if we're going to do it, we don't want to do it this way. We want to do it slightly different. I also went to pest and disease management from the ground up. This was looking at the fungus and bacteria in the soil and how to um, things to do to try to keep the levels the way that you want them, depending on what you're attempting to grow. Um, Basically, there's uh, it was presented with ratios basically of you want this amount of fungus to this amount of bacteria, and you know how to try to kind of balance those and adjust them so that you have the right mixture of fungus to bacteria for the specifics of what you're trying to grow. Um, it was a little complicated, and part of it was also that the woman that was presenting it, she's still experimenting with this, getting a grasp on exactly how this is done, and um, she's also working on simpler soil testing for in the future, um, and is working towards being able to have her own uh, basically testing uh, facility, you might say, basically where she's doing simple testing of soil for homesteaders in the area. She's not at that point yet, but she's working towards that. And so basically, she was providing us a um, contact that when she gets this set up where she's using a microscope and looking at um, the ratios of fungus to bacteria in soil, and has a better grasp of all of it, um, we can she can let us know, and we can basically send her samples, and she'll let us know what our soil is like, because right now there's not a cheap and inexpensive way of having soil tested, um, for this type of they'll test for other stuff, but not necessarily your fungus and bacteria levels. So, and the last one that I went to then was um, rainwater harvesting, small and large scale considerations. Um, because we are collecting some rainwater already, and we're looking to do more rainwater collection. We're primarily focused on the idea of collecting the rainwater and using it on the gardens. Um, what the presenter was providing was more of a collecting the rainwater for drinking water and garden water. Basically, being in a position where there is no water source other than rainwater, and what has to be done to um, be able to provide for a family uh, water usage and gardening usage uh, on a homestead. So it was a much larger scale of both collection, storage, and filtration than what we are going to need at this point. We're just, basically trying to collect enough that we can then water and have a um, extra uh, watering, possibly to be able to cut our water bill down, because we're not.
And ease of access.
Yeah, and ease of access. That's a big part of ours too. Is trying to get it where we don't have to string hose from the front of the property all the way to the back of the property, and try and keep water pressure all the way to the back. Um, Now, a big part of this is we don't currently have any kind of storage or collection up at the big garden all the way at the back of the property. So I've got to work on some way of, collecting and storing so that we can, have some water barrels back there that, we collect the water into, and then we can open a tap and water the garden from, and, actually be able to water the garden. I know where I would like to place them, because the garden is on a slight slope, and so I want it at the top of the slope where I can open the spigot, and basically the water will flow downhill. But it's also a matter of collection. We don't have anything up there. There's no structures or anything to hang rain guttering on to collect from. So I would need to build some sort of collection apparatus, and find some rain barrels and put them in such a way that we can collect a big enough amount that it is actually effective watering the gardens. Because one rain barrel up there isn't going to be enough to really make a dent in the watering process. So we're going to have to probably have at least 4 barrels, which are fairly, it's fairly easy to connect them into overflow system, so that one barrel fills up, it flows into the next barrel, fills it up, flows into the next barrel. I've got that part of it more or less figured out, how I'll be able to do that. But I've got to get the barrels, get them set up, figure out a way of collecting the water into them, and have a way of being able to get the water back out and where we actually need it. So, lots of stuff to do, but I have a better idea now on some of this. The classes I sat through gave me some really good ideas for moving forward with some of what we are wanting to do. Still a long ways to go, still a lot to learn, but I feel a little bit better about, some of what I want to do and how to get there. I'm not feeling quite as overwhelmed for some of it. There's still a lot out there that I'm overwhelmed with. There's a lot that I'm still trying to get a hold of, and just, okay, how am I going to get from point A to point D? What are the in between steps that I need to take to get from here to there? Because I know what we want, where we want to be. I know where we are, and I just haven't figured out how to span that, here to there. But at least on a couple of things, I'm a little bit better. My brain is starting to connect the dots. So, but anyways, longer video tonight. Sorry about that. But covered a lot of information. A lot of stuff that we're trying to get to. I still have a number of other projects that I'm working on. I still got to get a whole bunch of wood cut and split. But we're working on that as well. So things are starting to progress in the right direction. But I still have a lot of work to do. I've still got fencing that I've got to get fixed, got to get put back up and dealt with. But we did get some rain. Hopefully, maybe the soil will be, the ground will be a little softer. I don't know that we got enough rain really to do much, but maybe it'll soften up the area that I need to put the fence posts so that I can actually get them driven into the ground.
This ground is the worst.
Well,
it always has been.
but we're working on it, and maybe this rain. But anyways, once again, please subscribe. Give us thumbs up, thumbs down, comments below. We will see everybody tomorrow. Stay safe out there.